Okay, so in this video I'm going to be talking about some new accessories for my DJI FPV goggles and just kind of an overall update on my setup, because I haven't done a video on my goggles in a while and I do get quite a few questions about what I do with them and what kind of things I would recommend and what basically it's just an update on what's going on with them since I have done my last video, which was I think a while ago. It's when I put the iFlight crystal patch antenna on here along with the stubbies. These have stayed on here basically since the day I put them on. I do have another set of goggles, my backup goggles, that I did a video on with the Happy Model analog adapter, and I don't really use these for analog, so that stayed on that other goggle. So you guys are going to be wondering, well, you saw this other video about that. That's actually not my daily driver goggle. It's my backup goggle that was on. Set up for analog, but I do have something else for analog I want to show you that's not, I'm going to sort of preview it in this video, but I'm not going to do a full video on that. But yeah, this has been on here for more than a year. I haven't touched it, haven't had any problems with it. Been working great. I don't really fly too far away. It is very directional, so if you point away from your quad, you will get some worse reception, of course, and because of the stubbies as well, they won't perform as well as stock if you move your head around a lot. So I think we'll talk about that in that video. But more importantly, I found that the transmitting antenna on the quad is actually more important than this setup here. I've actually had a few bad antennas and wondered why am I getting bad reception, and it's always been the antenna on the quad and not the iFlight crystal antennas. Okay, so regarding my power setup here, I don't like batteries on the side or in the back or hanging in my pocket, so I actually cut short my little plug here, and I have this permanently installed with a small 3D printed part here that holds this cable in place. It doesn't move around. And I attached an XT30 connector on here, and I just have this like this is a 650, I think 4S LiPo with an XT30, and it powers up my goggles. And I think this is very lightweight. It doesn't weigh a lot. Which is what I like and what I prefer. I just charge it pretty often, so this will probably last me about 4 or 5 good flights, and then I got to charge it up again. And it's pretty easy to swap out as this battery strap here, and I'm using a small zip tie, which is right there, which is hard to see. That is what the battery strap is attached to, that holds it to the top there. And that is how my power setup is, and I don't mind charging it up, regularly, and I have a spare of these in my bag, so if I'm going to fly a little longer, I have a few of these extras, and it's an XT30 battery. Got plenty of those to swap out if I need to. Still using the standard stock strap here for the goggles, because I have kind of like this one here on top. Kind of keeps it off of my face and it's kind of heavy, so it doesn't fall forward. I have this little 3D printer part here. I forget where I got this from. There's a lot of these on Thingiverse, so it's not a big deal, but yeah, basically it's a lens protector for your DJI goggles, and there's tons of these on Thingiverse. I have swapped out my foam a few times. So I originally had the DJI foam, and then I had, well, the original DJI foam was like kind of a slippery material. Then I switched to this iFlight foam here, and it's a kind of a soft touch foam on here. And I was getting a little bit of light leak here in the nose area. So, and again, there's lots of options for DJI goggle foam out there. I know that Race Day Quads has one. iFlight has several. PyroDrone has theirs. This one here is from NewBeeDrone. And so it actually covers this little area right here, which sometimes gets some light leak here. See, it's a little bit shaped a little bit differently. And then it's got a full nose section here that goes all the way in. And I left this little foam piece here in that came with this one here. So with this and this little foam piece, I was getting light leak here. But now with this NewBeeDrone foam, it is totally like dark. Like, you don't see any light leak at all. I think Race Day Quads makes a Lycra version of this with a different material on the surface that's supposed to be better for sweat, but I have a different solution for that on this foam. So if you have this style of foam and you want something that's going to keep your foam clean, there's a solution from a company called VR Cover. Sent this along here. So this actually goes over the foam here, and this is a fabric material. So it's like a cover that goes over the foam, and there's like some loops here to secure it to the goggle, and there's ones, let's see, there's one on the side over here, and that goes over the foam, and then you use the Velcro here to stick to the actual faceplate. But yeah, basically it goes over and absorb sweat and stuff like that. So they sent me a couple of these over. I haven't actually tried these out yet. There's some instructions on how to install them. It should be pretty straightforward. And you got this lens cleaning cloth. But you get 2 of them in this pack, and it's washable. And it's basically so that if you sweat a lot, this is actually not a bad solution, which is, especially when it's hot now, with this kind of foam, this does tend to get very kind of icky, especially if you sweat a lot. So this will come in pretty handy. And then this company also has another company called VR Lens Lab, and they sent along some prescription lenses here. They're a little bit different from the ones that I got from a VR Wave. This is the first ones that I mentioned there. Those were a little bit more expensive because those had metal. I guess the frame for the lens was metal. So I'll pop this out. So this is like, the frame of this lens is like a 3D printed material. It's like, I think it's a nylon and jet fusion process. It's like injection molded kind of, very light. These are lighter than the metal ones, of course. Prescription, of course, so they have my exact prescription that I need. And the astigmatism correction on this one seems to be a little bit better than the ones I got from VR Wave. So the edges aren't as blurry. They're a little bit blurry on the VR Wave ones, but these are almost perfect. So definitely switching these. And these are cheaper. So they start at like $60, I think. So, which is definitely better than the VR Wave. I think people are complaining the VR Wave ones were kind of expensive, but anything with prescription lenses can tend to be expensive depending upon your prescription and your needs, because everyone's eyes are a little bit different, and some need more correction than others, and some of those things actually cost a little bit extra. So basically the prices start at about $60, and then they go up based on what you add. You can obviously add things like reflection, anti-coating reflection, and other stuff. There's all kinds of stuff there on the website. But if you want a cheaper prescription lens insert or diopter for your DJI goggles, this is a good one here, and I'll link that down below as well. Alright, so the last thing I'm going to talk about here is, it looks like just a monitor, but this is something kind of really different. No battery in this one. This has dual diversity receivers. You can see 2 antennas. Looks similar to their the Hawkeye's like 2.5-inch monitor, FPV monitor, but this one here is specifically for the DJI goggles and or some sort of other goggle where if you don't want to use a Fat Shark style module, you can use this instead and get basically a diversity receiver setup for this, and it's a fairly inexpensive in terms of the cost for something that actually has 2 receivers inside. And so their whole thing is to stick this on the side of the goggles like this, and then he'll have a bunch of cables and stuff to get the analog video out from these 2 receivers into your goggles or into the DJI goggles or some other analog style goggles that has analog video in. And there's no battery in this one. It looks like it's the same form factor, but it's metal, not plastic. And I'm going to have a video in this one later. I'm going to have a whole dedicated video in this one, but I just want to let you guys know this is something that will be coming up down the road. It's kind of interesting because you can actually hook these up to Fat Shark style goggles with this little module adapter like this, as you can see. But I think it's going to be something better suited for something like a DJI goggle. If you want like true diversity receivers on your DJI goggles for analog in, but you don't want to go with like a full like rapid fire setup or something like that, this is going to be pretty cool. So that'll be coming up in a future video. Okay, so that's going to cover it for my goggles so far. If you guys have any requests on things that you'd like for me to cover on the DJI goggles, additional accessories or some other products, let me know in the comments below, because there's just too much stuff out there for me to cover everything. But yeah, if there's something specific that you're interested in, do let me know down in the comments, and I may make a future video sometime down the road. Obviously, hopefully not Won't take me more than a year to make that video, but yeah, I'll keep those things in mind if you guys will let me know on things I should be checking out for my DJI FPV goggles. Okay, that's going to do it for this video. Talk to you guys in the next one.